This is the first in a short series of videos about progressive web apps, or PWAs. In these talks I'm going to be discussing what they are, what they can do and where this is all going. So what is a web application itself? Essentially a web application is the same as a website in essence. It's the same as the software that you download and install on your desktop, but it's accessed through your browser. You've probably used a web app before, I probably guarantee you have. Things like Google Docs, Gmail, Xero for accountancy, and loads of things like that are all web applications. How does this differ from a website? Well, a website in definition is probably more informative, it's like a brochure website, some sort of corporate site, whereas a web application is functional, it's feature rich, there's interactive elements, and is used for engaging with customers or business process. So what is a progressive web app, a PWA? So this is where it gets really interesting for me. This is where we go to a whole new level with web applications and start competing with native apps. So progressive web apps are essentially responsive website. This allows it to be scalable to any device. Therefore you only have to build it once. You don't have to build for iOS, don't have to build for Android or Windows, don't have to allow for tablets. You can just develop within one platform, which makes it cost effective, scalable, easier to manage and maintain. The standout features for me, and I'll go through this in a lot more depth in the second video, the standout things for me are offline capabilities, notifications, the ability to have full screen access to your app, so you don't have the browser, but essentially you are just looking through the browser at the web application. But one of the more designer features that will probably excite a lot of people is being able to have your icon on the home screen or your desktop for the application. So where can we see this in effect currently? Twitter were really quick off the blocks with their PWA, as were the FT, app.ft.com if you want to give that a try. Really good example of how this can work. It works really well on desktop and mobile. Instagram have released a PWA that you can get on mobile. Uber have released one, as well as Google Maps. So there's a lot of big companies investing time and money into this new technology, as it were. The experience for downloading the apps isn't quite there. Android has seemed to have nailed it quite well. We're just kind of waiting for Apple and Windows to kind of come on board, and then I think as that starts becoming more and more accessible, we'll see a lot more PWAs hitting the market. Where is this all going? So the future of PWAs, in my opinion, is very bright. I think there's a lot of scope to do some really exciting things. And I predict as more people discover this technology and work out what we can do with it, and the computing power becomes more available, we're going to see some big developments. I think when we break out of the mindset of mobile and desktop devices and start to consider applications being more interface led, so think TVs or cars or fridges or point of sale touchscreens. When we start considering applications that can go across any of these devices, I think that opens up a really interesting world of opportunities. I mean, how good would it be if we can just install Spotify on our fridge or a weather app on our smart mirror in the bathroom? I think that kind of flexibility and responsive web apps, I think that will really change things. So part 2 of the video is going to be covering the features in a lot more detail and kind of comparing the progressive web apps against native apps.